but you want to lick, just stick your tongue on the glue stick. You want it wet. Now, again, water soluble. This is for kids. It's non-toxic. It's fine. You can stick that in some water if you're feeling particularly special about yourself. But now you're going to rub the glue stick one swipe right across in one go, right across your whole brow. And lick it again.
And then lick again.
And do the other one. And the reason we're doing this last layer with the lick is so it's smooth. We want a nice, smooth forehead. It should look, when you put your makeup on, like you don't have eyebrows. Now that they're blocked, the eyebrows, I like to take a powdered foundation, like a full coverage. This is Maybelline Super Stay.
And L'Oreal Infallible.
Yeah, and this is it's a little darker than I don't mind going like a warm tone for this because it's like a color correction. It'll help take the darkness out of your. Now, again, you have thinner eyebrows, so it's not a big deal for you. But for me, I used to use a deeper tone that was a little more red, and it didn't make a difference. So now I just use this. It's a little darker, but so just what you're going to do, you don't want to disrupt your eyebrows. So this is, you get your product on the sponge that it comes with. If you don't have an applicator, any sponge, especially if it has a flat edge on it, will work. And what you want to do is just get your product on the applicator, sponge, whatever, and you want to roll the product onto your eyebrow. Now, your eyebrow should still have a tacky quality to it, so it'll help stick and dry it out. But you don't want to do this when your eyebrow is still purple, because it's still wet. This is one of the things I like about the glue stick being purple. But the other thing about the glue stick is if you use one that isn't purple but dries, for some reason or another, it doesn't work as well. I also tried an Elmer glue stick that was super strong. I thought, oh, this will really hold the eyebrows in. No, it's terrible. Let me get close. If you've done this right, you shouldn't have any texture. Like, you can see my eyebrows through the powder, but it's not because they're throwing shadows, because they're cattywampus. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I think I can see the edges of the glue.
Yeah, you will at this stage, because this powder is going to stick to it, but it's not a problem. Now we get ready for makeup. I'm using the e.l.f. Putty Primer because I'm old and I need spackle. But you can use any primer that you would normally use. So once that's on, it's time for foundation. Now, I've been using Juvia's Place Full Coverage Foundation for the last 2 or 3 years. I love it. It is the best, but it's also $30 Canadian for this little tube, and I have to pay shipping. Excuse me. So this is my last one. I've been testing Maybelline, and NYX has a full coverage foundation. I've been testing them, so we'll see. But still, I have lots of this. Now, normally, I use 2 foundations. I use a light one for the here and then a darker one for the perimeter, but I don't have a darker one, so I'm just going to use a cream product for that. So just put your foundation on. I put it on my hand because that's who I am. And I take my sponge, and I like to put this on my eyebrows last. It just gives them more drying time. Do you know what I mean? And again, when you're doing your eyebrows, just pat it. Don't try not to rub, or you can roll. Rolling's good, but you want to try and get this. You don't want to disturb what you've done already.
Yeah, I think this is my favorite full coverage foundation, the HMB Cosmetics. It's a UK brand, HMB Cosmetics.
Oh, yeah.
And I absolutely adore this foundation.
Maybelline is a makeup brand that has a good full coverage, and it's not too expensive. But I tried it the other day for the first time, and it's very watery. I feel like you have to do 2 or 3 applications to get full coverage. Because we're doing drag, you want to get that makeup down your neck a bit. We're going to, depending on the top, you'd want your makeup to go right down to where your outfit's stopping. I'm not going to go down that far because we're not doing that, but yeah, you want to, wherever your skin would normally show, you want this makeup. So now I'm going to take a contour stick or shade stick. This is from the company Black Radiance. Black Radiance, BR. This is the shade 6824. It's not too dark. Contour colors should be cool because you're creating shadows, and then bronzers are warm to warm up the skin. That's the difference. So I like to use a brush because it helps me really control this.
Oh,
And I just get right in there.
is that too big?
I use like a concealer brush. Yeah, perfect.
Okay, cool. Oh dear.
And the trick with drag makeup is you're reshaping your face. So what I'm hoping to do with you today, Steph, is change the shape of your face. And the way we do that is we put this on. Now, I start with the cheeks, and I start right at the ear, and I put the darkest bit there. There is this thing called the 3. I don't know if you do it, but we have from our cheek line, that's the bottom of the 3, and then it comes up to the eyebrow, and then it comes around the face. Do you see how that's a 3? And this is how we want this on, because I have a man brow, like a man forehead. So I want to reduce the size of it. I also want to bring it in on the sides a bit so that it's not so broad. And I just brush, from where I've applied it, I brush it up and work on one side at a time. And with the cheek, don't ever brush towards your mouth because you're going to bring the product down. You want to keep it away from all this. And you can bring this contour as deep as you want, depending on what kind of cheek you want. If you want like a Disney villain cheek, you're going to come up really high and go straight down to the chin and create that kind of. If you want a happy face, you want to draw a smile, so you want more of a curve. I just like to look thin.
I think have I come down too low?
No, but do it.
No.
Do one side at a time, so you don't go crazy.
Yeah, I've just gone over a bit.
So I just start to blend this out, and then I use the point of the sponge, and I come back again. I'm coming back. I don't want to bring too much of this forward. It will come forward, but I want to minimize it. I just don't want all of that color. You don't want it here. This area of your face should be as bright as possible. You want it all back here. The trick is to think of like you're sitting in the spotlight and the light's just hitting you on the forehead. So do you see how that blended out for me? So now I'm going to go back in and just back in the pocket back here. I just want to put more of this dark in. None of this is the final look, so don't worry about being precise. We just want this here so that when we do our powder contours, we know where it's going. Because this is all wet, this is another reason I do this wet. If I make a mistake, like we're going to block out our eyebrows too. If I block out my eyebrows and I hate them, I wipe it off. Nothing's set. I haven't powdered anything. So this just allows for more grace in putting on your makeup, you know?
I'm not sure I'm doing a great job of this, but
No, you are. You absolutely are. What you want to do is imagine where your face starts to curve. So where that line is before it becomes the side of your face. That's what we're trying to do here. And then just blend it out. If it feels like you have too much on, that's fine because you're going to blend it out. It doesn't matter. And then the final thing that we contour is our jawline. And again, this is why I like the brush, because how I do my contour is I start where my contour ends on my cheek. And where your jaw is, this is especially for men, we want a narrow jaw, right? So I can see my jawline is here and my chin line is here. So if I did that, I'd be here and here. And that's not doing anything for my face. What I want to do is come down from the ear, cut that corner off altogether, and then up from my chin line, like I want this to be visible. I don't want this to hide under my bone structure. And then I like to just make sure that this area here, so I don't look too jowly. And then I like to bring this contour behind my ear a little here, because I don't have a good neckline. So what I like to do is, like, I actually do this. I try and darken the sides of my neck so that when I'm on face full camera, it doesn't look like my jaw and neck are the same width. I also like to bring this contour into my ear a little, just so my ear isn't too white and sticking out. I don't want my ear to look bigger than it is because I think they have enough size on their own. And again, you don't want to bring this contour up onto the face more than you're bringing it up. You want to draw it down so you're hiding your chin. I'm taking the foundation sponge that I use that has product on it, but I'm not adding more to it. And you see here, I just want to take anything that's coming into my jaw out. If you take another like concealer, flat concealer brush, I'll do this with my foundation because that's what I've been using. So I just take my foundation on the brush and I'm just going to carve my cheek. And I'm putting this along that nasal labia line there because I don't want it to be dark in there. I want to brighten up this area as much as I can. And then I'm taking my sponge. I have a flat point on it, and that's what I'm using to blend this out. And I'm bringing this line to the corner of my mouth, just a little higher than it. So from the ear, whatever point on your ear you want. I like to pick this area here where my ear comes down and then that little, whatever that bone is that sticks out is, I like to bring it to there because that seems to be a good height.
Like that?
Yeah. Yeah, that looks really good. So this is from P. Louise, but this is a flat brush, but it's not angled. So it's narrow, but it's flat. Yeah. So what I'm doing with that is I'm going back into my contour color. And I'm going to do my nose. And there's no science to doing your nose. It's down to how narrow do you want it. And you have to remember about the structure of a nose. So normally at some point, like I start underneath it. I don't want my nose to go lower than there. So I do the dark here in a curve. And I go right to the nostril with it. And this might look weird and feel weird, but it'll all make sense. So that shortens your nose right away. And then we have that ball area on our nose naturally. So what I like to do is where I want that ball to stop is I just go across my nose here, like a line. And then we're going to do the contour. Now, we're recreating the shapes of our face. Normally, the side of our nose comes into our eye socket, but we're going to make a bigger eye socket. So I like to start fairly close, and I stamp. I don't do a run line because I'm not that good at this, but I like to stamp it up just narrower than my nose actually is, to where my eyebrow is, because that's the new eye socket, and then I just take it across the bottom of my eyebrow, like that, just a little. Now, I have never done both sides evenly. They never are the same, but trust and believe, it's okay. But it's just how you do it. So, again, on the other side.
How's that looking? Is that?
Yeah. You can come closer together.
Closer together.
In front of your nose, yeah. Yeah, like let's really change your face. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, no, I'm all for that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's looking good.
I'm going to need a name.
Well,
I can't just be Not Your Basic Steph.
Well, how about Fabulous Steph?
Not very fun though, is it?
No. Once we have those lines down, you're going to take that brush and wipe it down the side of your nose. You want to blend this out without, you don't want to bring it onto the top of the nose. You want to bring it down the side of your nose. And I know this will make your face look brown, but it'll all be corrected. It'll all make sense.
What about round here? to blend it down?
Yeah, you want to bring it right down. Well, I don't do the nostrils because we're going to cover those with concealer later, but
Oh,
you
okay.
blend it out. Like you just blend it so you don't have any harsh stop lines. Do you know what I mean? The other thing you want to do is you just want to narrow the ball on your nose. So you want to bring, normally when you're doing those lines down your nose, you bring them right to the end of your nose, but I like the ball of my nose to be a bit bigger than that. So I just do this now. Can you see how that's changed the shape? Yeah, look at the shape of your nose has changed. So now at one point there, you want to put a line across as well so that you really create that ball on the end of your nose. We'll fix all this later, but that's how you want that to do. And now we're going to block out our eyebrows. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. Don't worry about perfection. What you're doing now is trying to get things symmetrical enough so that when you put powder makeup on, you don't have to look. You know what I mean? You're really setting a template for yourself. So there is geometry for the eyebrow. There is science for the eyebrow. I know none of it. The one thing I know is you can take from the middle of your mouth, you can take your brush and just where your eye corner is, you want to bring a line up and find that start point. And then you take and you bring it over to the pupil, and that's where your arch point is. And then you take it without moving the brush here, you're just pivoting it to the outer eye, and that's where your eyebrow should end. I don't do it that way because I just know how it looks, and I don't know how you do, but I'm going to do it that way today. So how I do that is I make sure I have some contour on the edge of my brush. I take it down the middle, and I go to here, and
Are you still using the flat brush?
yeah, and I'm just putting a line right there. And then I'm going to do that through the pupil, and I put a line right there. And then again, through the middle of the nose, out the corner of my eye, and I put a line there. And that gives me the template. Now, I also like to use this brush. I haven't put a lot of product on this because I don't want this to be too dark, but I use the flat of the brush so it's wide. And I just go literally up my brow to here. And then when I get to the edge, I don't change the angle of my brush, but now I'm going on the narrow side. So I'm going wide, 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 narrow so that my eyebrow doesn't look. Now, I went further out than this line because I just know where my eyebrows like to go. But that's how you do them. And don't worry, again, look how crazy these are. These aren't the best eyebrows yet. We're going to do all that. We're going to precision them a little later, but I want them. Do you see how I'm kind of getting just the shape of them? I'm not detailing them. And so I'd use the flat of the brush, 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 and then the narrow side. And then if you want, you can really like get a little more precise with it. But as I say, don't sweat it too much. Just as long as you're happy with the shapes that you've developed. I also like to pat my eyebrow out towards the center of my nose so that it's more of an ombre. So it's not like stopping. Some people like a blunt end to an eyebrow. I'm not a big fan of that myself, but that's just me. You also want a dramatic eyebrow, but you need to be careful because if you go too high or too dramatic, you might look like you need to talk to a manager. Which is fine if that's the look you're going for. But I prefer less of a Karen and more of a queen. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I'm not sure. I think because my contour's there.
Yeah, that's fine. Don't worry about the contour. We're going to fix that in a sec. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to use my Juvia's Place foundation stick. If you have a foundation stick that's close to your skin tone or a bit lighter, that's what you kind of want to use now. And so one of the things I do with this right away is I just put that right in the middle of my nose or my eyebrows, and I start to do the highlight down the middle of my nose. Not far, but just start it. And then with this, I'm going to shape my eyebrows now. So out here on the side, this is quite wide, and this one is a little higher and this one goes down. So what I'm going to do is from the underside, take that edge out. You see how I did that? I just went over the parts I didn't like. So that's what we're doing now is we're whatever part of your eyebrow you don't like, now's the time to change it. And I'm coming across it. And yes, I'm going into the contour, which is fine because now you can see my eyebrow better, right?
This is fun.
Yeah. And again, on all sides of the eyebrow. If you've ever watched Drag Race and you've seen Naomi Smalls do her eyebrows, this is how she does it. She puts them on with no foundation and then builds the foundation up around them. I'm not that brave. And then what I like to do with my finger is I just like to pat this into the eyebrows so that it starts to ombre them a bit more. And then this edge that I put on, I like to brush it out, but then I'll take my contour sponge and just soften that. I don't want that line to look too like a line, like a marker of lighter. You know what I mean? So do you see how that looks?
Ooh.
Yeah, so I've just cleaned up the top and done the, and you don't have to be, again, you don't have to be precise. We're just mapping out the brows for later. But the more work you can do now, the quicker they'll be later. And then I use my finger to tap out the lighter just so it's not too harsh. And then when I go back in with the contour, it just softens that line up. I don't want it to go away, but I just don't want it to be too blunt a line. And look at that, now I have eyebrows. And I put my eyebrows almost at the, just above where my eyebrows are. So my eyebrow is here, and this is up here. And the reason I like it to be there is that when I make a face, they still move. If you put your eyebrow up too high, your eyebrows won't move. Now we're going to fix more of this here because we've darkened this part of our face, but we're going to work on it later. What you can do right now, though, is take your foundation sponge again, and with no more product on it, you just want to start under your face and just bring it to that brown on the side of your nose. Do you see how it's faded it out a little? So here's the side I haven't touched. It's still very dark. And I've just taken some of the edge out of it because we're going to do more of that later. You just don't want any harsh lines on your face. That's the trick. No harsh lines. If you feel like you have something that's a little dark, this is the time where you want to, it's your last chance to smooth stuff out because we're going to set this all with powder.
Coming through.
So it's time for powder. I use air spun. Like, this is the thing. A lot of makeup now you don't need powder for. It dries to a powder finish, whatever. But with drag makeup, the reason we use powder is to set it so that when you go on stage and sweat, it doesn't run right off your face. I use air spun. You can use anything. The reason I use air spun, it's cheap. And then I have it where I open it upside down. So because I have all those holes, I want it all in the lid. And then I take this filthy, dirty, I have to wash this filthy, dirty poof. It's huge. And I just put this right in. See? Now I'm going to set everything. And you're going to feel like you're putting powder and taking it all away. It won't go away. It will soften everything. But you're setting your eyebrows, you're setting your contour, you're setting your foundation. And you can't put too much powder on. In fact, if you think you haven't put enough on, put more on. I mean, if you think you have enough on, put more on. Because this is the trick. This is called beating your mug. You're pounding this powder in. Yeah. You want to make sure you get that.
I'm throwing it down my cleavage.
Perfect. What's cleavage for except the catch stuff, right?
Well, clearly, yeah. Holding drinks?
I'm not even wearing a bra and I have stuff going down my cleavage. So I like to make sure that that powder's all on my face. And then I just,
Oh, I am powdered.
yeah, just I just wipe it. I don't brush it off, but I just like to get anything loose off with the powder brush. Also, just full disclosure, this is a powder brush from P. Louise. I'll tell you the number. It's actually seven. Hold on. Let me get my old lady. 796. This is my favorite powder brush in the world because it's so flippy floppy. Look at it, just it jiggles. Do you know what I mean? I love it. And so when I'm wiping powder off, it's so therapeutic. I just oh.
Makes you make all the right noises.
Making faces and noises are key to successful makeup application. The palettes that we are using, first of all, shout out to Rux and Artitude Cosmetics. This still is my favorite drag makeup, Color Splash. This is just a very good, mostly rainbow, mostly primary mattes, and this bottom row of shimmers. And this is great because in this palette, I can do my eyebrows. This is an eyebrow color for me. This is an eyebrow color for me. There's also there's some good blush tones. These shimmers can be used as highlighters. This is a good basic. If you had only this palette, you could do a full face. So the other company is Beauty Moon Cosmetics, and this is their first palette that I saw, Criminal. This is a stunning, stunning, stunning palette. And this has a nice dark blue in it. So what I think we'll do for you with a blue is start with, you know what, I'm going to do a blue eyebrow too. I'll do it with you so I can help you out. So the best way to start is with a nice angled brush. So yeah, this is the one I use. This is from P. Louise. If you need to know what it is, I will tell you.
Is it? I think this is more like the one you're using, isn't it?
Oh no, this is a Jessup brush, but it's yeah, that's a good one.
Okay,
yeah, this is a nice wide Jessup angle. I use this for my regular brush. So it's kind of colored orange, but I like it wider because if you can get the width of your eyebrow in it and go in one, I'm a fan of minimizing the length of time it takes to put a face on. But so we're going to start with the blue. This is a good blue. Color Splash, we're doing Rain, this blue, but this is a deeper blue. So what I want to do is start at the arch. So how I do this is I start low with the color because you want to create dimension, and the best way to get dimension is to put darker colors low so they look like a shadow, and brighter colors high. You also want the brighter colors closer to the nose and the darker colors out on the tail. It creates that shape. So I'm starting low here. I'm not going too far. And I'm going along the tail. And I'm just getting this color down. There's no wrong way of doing this. I'm just showing you how I do it. Now, the only thing that worries me is there's not a lighter blue in this palette, but there is a white. Criminal has a white. So we will probably be using that with the blue. But for now, we're just doing the outer edge. This is a great blue too because it's kind of like a denim color. It's not too like a primary blue. I really like this blue. And because we've put our makeup down originally, we don't make any mistakes putting the powder down because we know where it's going. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like following the lines. This just makes it quicker. Because the nice thing when you put your eyebrows down with a liquid without anything set, if you make a mistake, wipe it off, cover it, whatever. It's just makeup. But once it's set and you start putting powders on, that's where it becomes fussy and you worry. So now we just know where we're putting it. So I'm not bringing it too far forward, but what I am going to do is take my brush and dip it into this white shade in Criminal. It doesn't have a name, which is fine. I'm good with no names. But I'm going to take this. So I've really put some white on there, and I'm just tapping it into Rain from Color Splash, just so that there's a bit of blue there. And I'm now going to try and draw that lighter blue. Do you see how much lighter that is? So I'm drawing that down to the front of my face where I want this eyebrow to meet. And as I get closer to the front, I'm just going to put more white so it ombres. And do you see how I'm using the width of that brush to do, see, it's just, do you see how it's ombreed already without me really even doing anything?
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's so easy to do this, but it just takes that minute. And again, I think it's easier when you set your eyebrow down originally with a liquid foundation. And don't be afraid to use the width of your brush to really like get in there. The other thing I like to say, be kind to yourself. You're not failing, you're learning. It's different. You know what I'm saying? If you do it wrong, it's only wrong because it's not what you thought it was going to be. It might be right if you don't tell anybody you did it wrong. Do you know what I mean? And then I'm going to go into Midnight in the Color Splash palette, which is the black. This is an excellent black, by the way. You can't do drag makeup without an excellent black. I don't care who you are. But the black is literally just going to be in the tail. And then I like to, when I bring it around the arch, I like to keep it low. You see how it's low? And then I'm going to take a touch of the Midnight Black. I'm just literally pushing my, I'll show you. I don't know why I don't show people these. I'm going to do one into the Midnight and one into Rain. And then I'm just going to, with the two of them, it's easier to blend colors if you put them both on the brush. But I want that black and blue to go lower so that it creates that dimension. And then, because we're using a white, I want to take like a little pencil brush, nothing too wide. I don't know if this can see this. Just a nice little brush like this. And I'm going to dip it into the white, again, from Criminal. And with that, I'm going to put it right in the front of this. I really want to fade this out in the front. And I don't want to disturb the colors I have down, so I'm using the fluffier quality of the pencil brush so it doesn't scrape anything off. And I'm ever so slightly just going in and blending that in. And then it's the best way to get a good blend is to go back and forth. You're never going to get anything right in one swipe. Sometimes it takes 3 or 4 different colors blended to get something to go correctly, especially the first time you're doing it. So don't be afraid to make adjustments. And there you go. I like that. I think that's a good eyebrow.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, it wasn't hard. Now, if we were better people, we would have done each color on each brow as we went, but I like to do one brow at a time. I don't know why, but I feel like I get more symmetry if I do one and like it and then do the other. Here's another trick if you have trouble getting your eyebrows well done. I always start with my right eye because I'm right-handed. But if you're having trouble with your eyebrows looking symmetrical, start with your left eye because that's the one you're going to have more trouble with. And if you can get that one on, you can actually match it with this one better because you have more control on this side of your face. We didn't do that because I don't have a problem doing symmetry because I block out my eyebrows with foundation. So now we're going to start with our eyeshadow. And the first thing we have to do, of course, is a primer. Now, I use their Rumor Zero because it's white.
Oh, I've got 02. Should I get a white?
if you have a white, I would recommend using a white primer. So I'm using another flat concealer style brush. This one is from the Trixie Mattel Pink Brush Collection. Yeah, that's perfect. That what you have right there.
Should I go for the smaller one?
No, I like that size. I don't have
the larger one.
Yeah. Yeah, because we're blocking out under the eyebrows and then doing the full eye, so it's fine. So what I do is to carve out my brow, again, I just tap right up to the line. And I just like to tap it on because it just puts it exactly where I want it. And then once I kind of get it where I want, then I start brushing it out. And then I like to bring my concealer, my primer out because we're doing drag makeup, so it's going to go further out than regular makeup. I also like to put it under my eye because I'm going to be putting makeup there too. And then again, once it's on, make sure my finger's clean. I like to just pat it in. It helps it from being creasy. All right. So now we're ready for the fun stuff. Eyeshadow.
Okay.
The reason we got into makeup in the first place. All the tertiary products can live their lives, but eyeshadow is where it happens. So,
oh yeah.
So what we're going to start with is a small fluffy brush, nothing too big, but I also don't want the bristles to be too long. This is a P. Louise 234.
Is this too long?
No, that's fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into lime, which is that green there. And we're just going to start the eye shape. So what I like to do with it is I like to start here and get this contour into the nose. So right under the eyebrow, I'm just patting this green and bringing it into my contour. Not too far, just in there. And then again, because I have a hooded eye, let me just get closer.
So do I.
Yeah, so I have a hooded eye and it sits on my eyelids. So what I like to do is bring my crease up above that, and then it hides all that trouble. All that trouble will get covered with glitter, and it's not a problem. So I just like to take this arch and bring it around to just where the arch of my eyebrow is for now. And then I bring it into the corner of my eye. And again, this is very light. The reason we're using the light one is just so we can see if we like what we're doing before we commit. It also gives us a blending base for darker colors.
Like so?
This is a little bar cloth that I got off Amazon, and I think it came with like 12, and it's ridged. It's just got some slight ridges to it. And I like to use it for my makeup because it helps take it off. So instead of a color switch, I just run my brush across that, and it's fine. However you like to wipe off your brushes, if you're using a brush for multiple colors, is fine. It doesn't, you can, I don't like to wash my brushes. So I like to try and use as few brushes as possible, but some people like to use as many brushes as possible. However you want to do it, there's no wrong way. I'm going to use the same brush we used with the light green to now go into the next green, which is this green here on this page, which is called Jungle. And so I'm just popping my brush into that, starting on the outer edge, close to where I want my crease to be. I'm just going to just swirl it around, but I'm starting to build. We're just building up our colors now. And I don't want this green to go up to my eyebrow because I want to create dimension with it. But I want to define my crease. And I like to build the colors by patting them in. I feel like they build quicker if you pat them. If you swipe them, they disperse quicker. So I like to put this darker color at the outside of my eye because I don't want my eye makeup to be smaller. I want it to be bigger. So I'm just putting this darker area out here, and that's going to create the idea that the corner of my eye is actually out here a bit more. I'm then going to take the same brush. I'm not doing anything different. I'm going back into lime, And I'm just blending out jungle a bit. And this is where you can swipe. It's fine to swipe now because we've got our colors down. Oh, something that I forgot to do. I always forget to do this. I always forget to do this. This color splash palette, I don't get a lot of fallout from it, but it is powdery. So sometimes you see a little cloud of color come up. So what I like to do to kind of combat all the work we've done with our complexion, I take my powder and a powder puff, and I put as much powder as it'll take, and this is called a bake, and I put this right across my cheeks onto the side of my nose, both sides. And what this does is it keeps any fallout from contaminating your complexion makeup. Now, there's not a dark green in here, which is not a hateful thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a little pencil brush. I have this one. It's so small. I think this is from they just had a sale because they're closing. But it's the smallest little pencil brush you can have. And I'm going into the black, which is called Midnight in the Color Splash palette. And I am just going to draw this crease line, which is about where the dark green is on my eye. It's about as low as I want to go. You can, don't worry, we're going to cut this, so we'll do it more precisely. But just right now, I'm going to put this green on here. The black, sorry, on the green. And we're going to buff this out so it'll blend with the green that's there. And then what I like to do is with a smudger brush, which is it's like a pencil brush, but wide. It's like a fat pencil brush, but it's wider. These are great. I'm going to go back into Jungle, and I'm literally just not directly on it, just slightly above, like halfway above it. I'm going to blend out this black. And I'm going back and forth very lightly with the green to blend it into that black. I'm also going to take this black, and from the bottom of my eye, again, I relax my face. This is a key. Relax your face and deal with it as it is. But I'm going to draw a line now from here, just under my eye, up to create this eye shape. And I want it to go straight. Even though my face is relaxed, I want it to go straight so that when I raise my eyebrow, do you see how it's different? So I now take that black and I connect this line to that line. And then when I relax my face, it's a straight line.
Ooh.
And then again, after I put that black down to create, do you see how I'm creating this shape now? I'm taking the green Jungle on the smudger again, and I'm just softening out the edge of that black. I don't want it to be too severe yet, because I'm going to put eyeliner on, and that'll do most of that work.
Like that?
Yeah. Yeah, we're just creating our eye shape. And I'm using this, that soft, short, fluffy brush. I'm dipping into Jungle and Midnight just a little to get both of these on. And I'm just darkening out this outer V. And then you just do the same thing on the other side again.
I wouldn't say I'm doing a great job, but I'm having loads of fun doing it.
Well, this is the other thing, drag makeup always looks awful till it looks good. Like if you're looking good halfway through your drag, it's not doing well, You need to we're doing such severe makeup that it should look weird. Now, something that I'm going to do just now.
I got a bit carried away, sorry.
Oh, you can't.
Fall out again.
There's no possible way. Just at the outer edge of all this makeup now, I'm going to still use that green fluffy brush that I was putting on the light green and the other green, lime and jungle. I'm going to go into lemon, the yellow. This is an excellent yellow in this palette too, because it's primary yellow. And I'm just using that to blend out the green on the outer edge. I just find that when you see that color there, it just adds to it. It just gives it that extra dimension. Yeah, you look good. So the last thing we're going to do is we're going to take any brush. We're going to set the white of our eyebrow highlight. And so I'm going to go back into the criminal to the white shade. I'm just putting this on here. I just want this to be as white as possible. I'm tapping it and blending it into the greens. But it doesn't have to be a lot. I just like to make sure that I've got that primer up there set with a shadow. I like to use a lot of setting spray. I use it at different stages. So now that our eyebrows and eyelids are done, I just want to cover the bake under my eyes. And I'm just taking my setting spray and I'm just going across my eyes. Just to set the eyebrows and the eyelids. Just let it. So now we're going to cut our crease, and again with our primer and a white primer. You don't have to use primer necessarily for this. You can use clown white, or Elf used to make a white camo concealer, which was great for this, but they stopped making it. I don't know. But I'm using the P. Louise Pro again, the Rumors in Zero. So again, I'm just taking a concealer brush. This is the one I use to do it up to my eyebrow.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just going to do this to there, to the where the darkened outer corner is starting. I don't need to do my whole crease because I'm going to put more makeup on. Yeah, that looks good. Yeah, that looks really good. So now we're going to put color on our lids. Now, you want a contrasting color. So if we're using green, I'm going to use a pink shimmer.
Pink shimmer.
Yeah, so I suggest if you want to keep similar, a pink color, but that's the color I'm going to use. If you have a glitter, now's the time to whip out a glitter. If you've got a palette where you keep staring at the glitter going, why is that wasting space? Now's the time to use it. Oh, fabulous.
Should I go pink?
Yes, that's a gorgeous pink. You're going to want both of those pinks.
Both of them?
And do you have a white in there, or a silver, or a lighter?
Silver.
Yeah, okay, so we're going to use 3 on the lid. And we're going to start with the main color. This is a shimmer, so I'm using a flat brush for it. This is a P. Louise flat angle brush. But I'm just going to put this in the middle of the eye. And by that, I just mean right in the middle. We're going to go right up to the green.
Which one's in the middle? The lighter pink.
No, the mid pink. And this can go right out to the edge. So now we're going to, on the outer side, like the outer V, we're going to take another shade that's darker. Now for me, I've been using this Starstruck palette from Beauty Moon, and I use this pink. And to darken it out on the other side, I don't want to actually use these glitters because this is a satin finish. So I'm going to use this purple here. And I'm literally just tapping the brush that I just used in. And I'm just darkening out the outer edge and blending it into this pink. And because it's a purple, it's going to create that dimension, but it's also going to be darker than the pink.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. But very, very pink sparkly.
And now, do you have a lighter pink in there in your palette, in that gorgeous glitter palette?
There's That one.
Yeah, yeah. And what's the white look like?
That's silver.
Oh, silver. Yeah. So what I think you should do is, if you can, mix that pink with that silver,
Oh,
just to lighten up
yeah.
that pink just a bit more. Now, because I don't have that palette, what I'm going to do is I'm taking a blush from the color splash palette, and I'm going to put that into the corner because I have a topper that I'm going to put over everything. So I'm just literally just putting that into here to blend out that pink.
Okay.
Do you see how it's just blending the pink from a less intense color into the pink? So you're going to do that with the
I'm mixing the pink
silver.
and the silver on the back of my hand.
Yeah. Now, because I use the satin eyeshadow on my lids, I'm going to take the best product that Jolie Beauty makes, which is their glitter gel primer. This is the best. I don't like Jolie's makeup formula, but their glitter gel, if you need your glitter to stick to your face, this is it. And I'm just wiping this across my lids. And then I'm going to take from this Starstruck palette again, I'm taking this shade here. It's a white topper. And I'm going to put this across my lids just to bring some sparkle into this look. And
I am all sparkle.
yeah. You see the difference? I don't know if you can tell on camera. That's no glitter. That's with the glitter.
Catches the light better.
Yeah, yeah. You just want that kind of intensity there. So now it's eyeliner time. So when I do my eyeliner, because again, I have a hooded eye, with this brush, what I do is I start in the corner and then I go straight up almost to this where the makeup's the pink stops. Do you know what I mean? So let me just show you. Stamping it. And then when I lower my eye, you don't really see it, but when I raise it, I'm going to create my eyeliner here. You see? And then I just fill it all in so it's all black. The nice thing with this gel is it dries to like a powder finish. It's fantastic. So however you want to do your eyeliner is fine, but just remember you're going to have to pull it out a little further than you normally would because you've created a bigger eye, if that makes sense. Just like that. And just match up the other side.
I really need to get some like pots of gel liner.
I prefer to use either a full-on liquid with a brush liner or a gel with a brush because I find the makeup, the eyeliner pens get clogged with the amount of makeup I already have on. So they're not as effective for drag. Now, something that I like to do, which is one of the reasons I love the Criminal palette, is there's a black glitter in here.
Mm-hmm.
And I love to set my eyeliner with that.
Ooh,
It adds more glitter to your face.
never have too much glitter.
Yeah. All right. So now is the exciting part.
Lashes.
Taking that powder off.
Oh.
Or just get that bake off. If you have fallout on your bake, the best way to take that powder off is by just putting in the brush at the corner of your nose and swiping once, knocking the brush out, and then doing it again. I don't have any fallout, so I'm not worrying about it. But if you were to go back and forth with fallout, you just end up rubbing all that makeup into your face.
Oh, crikey. I look crusty dry now.
Yeah, so now because of that, we're taking our setting spray again and doing another just across the eyes now. But because that bake's not there, you don't have to protect anything. We're taking a break from the eyes, but we still have to go back and put our concealer on and our under eye line and everything. But before we do that, we are going to do our contour. And because we're going to put contour everywhere, and then the concealer is kind of like the finishing touch for everything. The contour palette I'm using, I got in the P. Louise Advent Calendar last year. It's this Just Roll With It. And it's all little gingerbread men. But now, see, these are cool tone. This is cool tone here, definitely. This is a little warmer, but they get warmer. So this is where I like to have my contours, this end here. But as I get to the center of my face more, I will contour with bronzers, because keep in mind, different levels of your face are forward and back. So this is behind your nose. If you use the same contour on your nose as you use on your cheek, your face will look flatter. So I like to use a lighter contour, a warmer one. The sun is hitting a face here, so this would tend to get more color on it. Same with the up here. Like I use a lighter contour up here than I do back here because it's forward. And that's how I think about it. I don't know if other people, I don't know. So I take an angled brush like that, my contour, and I start with the darkest color, the coolest one, and I just get some on there, and I start back here. Now I like to pinch that brush just a bit so I don't get too much going everywhere, but this is like, see how dark this is? It's very dark, so I don't want it to come much further than back here, but I'm starting to curve it around this shape here. I'm also like letting it come up into just where my ear is, but this is all going to be hidden by a wig. But I don't want there to be a dark line right away. I want it to blend out. So I'm just patting it down, and then as the product's kind of dissipating, then I start to swoop it. But I'm swooping it in the direction I want, and I'm not coming any further than like my eye. I don't want any darkness to come into my face proper. I just want it on the edge. And so I turn the brush around so the long part's towards my mouth, and I brush it back up so it's not coming up into my face or down into my face. Just I'm keeping it back there. And you see the difference it makes here?
Ooh.
I'm also going to take just a splash of that dark cool right under my nose. I want to darken under the nose, so I shorten my nose. And I'm coming into the temple, but I'm not going further than my eyebrow. A lot of this will be hidden by the wig, but I want to create.
How's that?
Yeah, that looks excellent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. Yeah. And so I'm just kind of, we call this area in a man's hairline where it kind of comes back up into here, unless you're bald. We call those the parking lots because they're just big spaces of nothing. And it's just, I don't want too much of this dark up here on my forehead because your forehead gets more light than your chin, for instance. You know what I mean? But I want it back
Just
here
a
to
little
blend
bit.
it out. This is called the brown rainbow. Okay.
Brown rainbow. Like that?
Yeah. Yeah. You don't need to do as much contouring there because you have full head of hair, but you still want to kind of, we're going to blend more, but we're starting with that. And then going back into that cool tone dark contour one more time on the brush, pinching it. I'm just coming down the cheek line here. No further than the curve on my jaw. I don't want it to come in, but I want it back here. And then I'm going down and behind my ear and down my neck. I just want to create a neck for myself. You have a neck, so you don't necessarily have to be as intense with your contour. So do you see how I've just done this dark back here?
Mm-hmm.
Just back here. So when I look at you, it's starting. You see how I'm starting to get a neck?
Love that.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So now that we're done that, we're going to go into a warmer contour or a bronzer shade, whatever you have. I'm going to skip this one and go straight to this because it's a nice mid-tone. And I'm going to start under the chin, but not as high up as I put my contour cream, just a little below that to start, because I'm going to blend it up. But I also want to, I don't like it to look like a hard line. Do you know what I mean? I like to blend it out a little. Also, contour, the way shadows work on your neck is round this way, and your chin is here, and the shadows that your chin throws are like an M. It's going to be longer here because your chin goes out further, so you're going to have a longer shadow here. It's going to come up around the curve of your neck and then back down along the neckline. So
Well, I'm going to take this tip into my regular makeup.
Yeah, you can do this for regular makeup with less intense colors.
Oh, I love it.
And then I'm taking that warm color that we just used, that lighter one, and now I'm going up along this line here where I had the cool, just above it a little to blend it out. So it's not just such a hard line. And do you see how that compared to that just smooths it out, taking some of the intensity out of it. And then that same warm bronzy color, we're now going to go back onto the cheek. So I'm starting up here, but instead of going to that area that I call the pocket, I'm going right above it. And again, always start back by the ear and come forward with your contours. Don't start in the middle of your face because it's too much. You want to put most of the makeup back there and bring it forward. So I'm patting it back here, and then I'm doing a swoop. Do you see I'm going a swoop that goes along the cheek line? And I'm just going above that. Not too far, but I want to take that. I don't want that line to be too hard. Do you see the difference?
Oh, yep.
So again, just up here, most of it back here. And then once I kind of get that off, swoop along the cheek line and back up. It's like a football shape.
Well, there's my harsh one. And is that better?
Yeah, it's softer. Keep in mind, we're still putting blush over top of this. So it doesn't have to be intense, but you're creating that dimension. And that dimension won't survive blush covering it unless you're harsh. And then we're going to take that warm tone again. And now we're going to go just ahead of our contour up here into the forehead more. And we're just blending it out with a warmer color, because this is our forehead. We would have more sun up here than we would under our chin line. And then I always like to check in the monitor and make sure I'm not going too little or too much. But yeah, that looks even to me. Let me see. Yeah, you look great. Yeah, look at that cheek. Woo! Nose contour. So our original nose, that flat square brush that we used for our original cream.
Yep.
So just make sure you've wiped it so there's no cream on it, on a cloth or in a tissue or whatever you want. And then we're going to go into, well, I'm going to go into this one first. Sorry, into this, like,
Ooh.
so I use the cool one for the dark, and then I use this one for everything else. For the nose, I'm going to start with this one. And I'm just going to put my brush into it just a little. And again, I'm stamping. I'm not going to draw it. I want to stamp it because I want to control how I put this on. But I'm starting up here, up under the eyebrow. You see how I've done that? And because we have that contour already on with the cream, I'm going to follow that down with this. And don't worry if you're not putting enough on, like you can always add more, but it's better to add more than to try and take stuff away. And then once this is all on, I'm just going to brush it into the green, brushing it away from where I've applied it. And the same down the nose. I'm going to brush it down the side of the nose. See the difference between the powder that I put on and the original contour?
Ooh.
And again, we're going to be doing a few things to this, so it's not going to be this intense forever, but if it's not intense at this stage, you're not putting it on right. You also want to reinforce that little button dent here across your nose. And again, you don't want to be shy about it, but make sure your nose is contoured underneath. And just to contour, like just to buff out the contour I've put on my nose, especially underneath, I just take a big fluffy brush and I just blend it all out. And now we're using concealer. Now, concealer normally goes on first over spots and things. And then you put your foundation on, you get an even thing. But we're trying to highlight this area. Our nose.
I need a lighter one then.
Yeah, mine is the e.l.f. This is the lightest one they have, I think. It's called Fair Beige. So yeah, this is the e.l.f. white camo. And then I'm using this one today. Now, the one thing I will say, I don't like to use white in this area because I think it makes it look too severe, too stark. Some queens do, I'm not judging, but I'm going to use this one. So the first thing we do with this is we're going to brighten under our eye and our cheek, and this will also take care of our nose contour. So I do one side at a time because concealer tends to dry quickly. So right under the eye, right out to here, right down. I want a triangle. Right onto my nostril. And then I take a sponge that has a flat edge to it because I want to control how I'm doing this. And I start patting this out, but I don't want to cover up too much of the makeup that I already have on my face, on my eye makeup. So I like to try and keep a nice sharp line there.
I'm scrubbing another sponge. Yeah. Beans.
And then the other end of that, as I'm fading this out here, keep in mind, we're going to be putting blush on, so it's not going to look as sharp as it is right now. But also on the inside, I'm going to use the curved edge, and I'm bringing this concealer up the nose to buff out that brown that's there. Do you see how, like, that's how my nose looked before? And now that's how it looks like that. You see how it looks less drawn, but it's still narrow?
Yeah.
So that's what that does. If we bring this white back up into the face, it'll soften that contour and make it look more natural as opposed to this brown nose. What the hell? You know what I mean? And then we're going to do it on the other side, same thing.
Crap.
All right, so now we're taking the concealer again. We're putting a dot on her nose, boop, like that. We're going to put a little bit up the middle of our nose, not the whole way, just in the middle. And then in between the eyebrows up into the forehead. And we want to kind of create like a spot here where our spotlight hits us. And you see, I haven't even blended that out, and it kind of looks like a light's hitting me, right? So also a trick I do when I'm putting on like blending out concealer or something is I like to, when I'm patting the sponge, I like to pat, turn, pat, turn, pat, so I don't end up with the same pattern. You know what I mean? Like, it just helps kind of make it end up looking more natural. I like this e.l.f. Perfect Finish powder, but Artitude Cosmetics just came out with a bunch of powders. I don't have one right in front of me because I'm just trying to finish this first, but their powders are excellent for this. What you want is a finely milled powder to set your concealer. And I use a doe foot brush.
Smell like this?
Yeah, whatever you want. I like this one because I like to press the powder in. But this is the P. Louise P42, I think it is. And this came with a set for something. So I just like to take whatever setting powder that's finely milled. Now, this one from e.l.f. is white. And that's another reason why I like it, because it helps brighten up my face. But I just press that in where I put the concealer. And then I'm taking the white gel liner, tricks from Trixie Mattel. I'm also taking an Artitude eyeliner brush, because we're going to do our under eye now. And what I like to do is I start in the corner of the eye. And I like to straighten out the white of my eye. The shape of my eye, like the eyelid shape on the underside, comes back up into the corner for me. Some people, they have angled eyes. Mine are fairly straight, but they come back up into the corner. So I like to take that and make it more of an angle. So I go lower with the white, but I bring it up to the eye line. So I'm only really making my eye bigger here, if that makes sense. And then part of what I like to do with this white line is I like to also, just under the black that I've done for my eyeliner, I just like to draw it up into there a little bit. So then we're going to go back with our black gel, and we're going to put an eyeline on. And that eyeline is going to follow the white we've just put down. So,
oh, okay.
So for me, I brought my white down lower in the inner corner. So I'm just going to put this black liner. Let me do it like this here. Starting there. I don't like to go right to the corner. I like to kind of just behind it a little. And then I'm coming it right along that white line. So once we have that black line down, I'm taking a mid-size pencil brush. This is an It's Bell Cosmetics Essential E3. So it's a smaller pencil brush, but it's not microscopic. And we're going to go back into Color Splash. And I'm going to take that green that we used, the jungle, and starting back here in the, like just at the outer edge, I'm going to start adding that green to this black. And I'm starting almost right on the black line and letting it kind of start to come down a little. But I don't want it too much wider than the eyeliner. I want to see it, but I don't want it to start running down my face. And in the inner corner, you can bring it closer to the inner corner than you did the eyeliner. And then with the same brush, instead of going into lime, which you think we go to the next green up, we're going to go into lemon, the yellow, instead, because I really want to have a contrast here. And we're going to blend out the edge of that green with the yellow. Now, something that I like to do while we're at this stage is where that white is that's underneath my eye. I like to take my liner and bring my eyeliner down into that white just to kind of lengthen my eye a little. This will combat looking cross-eyed. So I just like to, where's my ear? Let me do it this way. So I just like to like that. And now we're ready for blush.
Ooh.
So we're going to use the Juicy Cheeks palette, which is a fabulous one from Blend Buddy. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with this pink here. It's the lighter pink. And this is the pink that we're going to do most of our cheek with. But so I'm going in with a blush brush, an angled blush brush.
Angled.
It's like that. It's the same as the contour brush that we use, but it's for blush. Yeah. Yeah. So I like to get that lighter pink on. And again, we start at the back because we don't want to throw color and also, oh, how do I, if it's too much. So I start back here, up, almost above the contour. And in a circle. And again, this circle comes along the cheek line and back up. And I'm just starting to just get this. A trick to putting on blush for me anyway is as I'm getting closer to the front, smile, get that apple of your cheek raised because you can't go wrong. Your brush won't go beyond that high point when you smile. So I like to just get it all in here. Do you see how that's kind of everywhere? But it won't look like it's everywhere once we get the darker colors on. But I just like to I like to break up that color, that concealer, so it's not so stark. I also like to put it across my forehead here for some more color. Just, it gives you less dead look. You know what I mean? Then we're going to take this pink right underneath it. It's a red, but it's this one here. It's called, the first one we used was called Plump, and then underneath it is Mouth Watering. And again, with the same brush, now that we've got our first tone, I'm just going into that. And again, back here, but I'm now going in the middle. So between the lowest part of my contour and what I just put on, just in the body of that cheek area, I'm going to put this color. And I'm bringing it forward. Now, I'm not bringing it as far forward as I did the other one because I'm creating dimension. And I'm swooping again, still swooping along the cheek line, but I'm not coming as far forward with it. Can you see how that's not so far forward? And then I'm going in with the same brush again, but I'm going to use see how it's an angled brush, right? So we've got the higher end here, and the lower end here. I want to dip the high end into the purple called Ripe. This purple here in the corner. And because this is a cool dark color, it's going to give us a shadow. And I'm just putting the highest part of that, and I'm just now on the darkest of that contour, I'm running this purple. And what I'm trying to do is warm up all that contour so it doesn't look so dead and brown on my face. And then I'm just brushing it along that line. But you see how I've taken a lot of the brown out of that now? We had the brown here, now it's not so much. And then when you look on, we've got a nice contour line in the blush. So now we're going to do a highlight. Now I'm going to use 2 highlights for my makeup today. One of them is going to be the Ellis Atlantis highlighter. Look at that pink. From Beauty Moon Cosmetics, I'm going to use the highlighter called Saint because it's a white. I don't want a color on there. I don't mind the color on the apple of the cheek, but I want the highlight out here to be a highlight. Before we put on the highlight, setting spray. Highlighter shows up more if you start with a wet cheek. So I'm only going to do one side first, just like that. Starting with the pink color. Make a smile, and just right on the apple of that cheek, I'm just going to go around, and then I'm going to bring it up a bit onto the cheek, just a bit. And then with Saint, I'm then going to continue that highlighter up here. Silver up there. And I'm putting it right on the edge of where I put that pink to take the pink out a bit, like to soften that line so it doesn't look like a line up there. And then once you get it where you like it, the other side. I'm also taking the Saint highlighter because it's a white. And I'm putting it right on my nose. And right in the middle of my bridge of my nose. I'm using my finger for this because it's easy. I'm also going to put it on my brow bone. And then I have a secret weapon for finishing my face look. It's Be Perfect's Get Wet highlighter. I know you don't have one of these. They still sell this. If you can get one, get one. I'm using Skin Sheen. It's their clear one. But what I like about this is when you use it, I just use it with my finger, and it goes on like a glitter. I just like to kind of finish all of the high points of my face with this because it just gives it a little sheen. I don't put it on my forehead though, because if you have glitter on your forehead, it makes you look sweaty.
Oh, yeah, I don't want to look sweaty. So, lips for a drag queen. They have to be big and luscious. I'm using Rimmel. This is I don't normally like mechanical pencil lip liners, but Olivia at my Shoppers Drug Mart said that she loved this, and so I got one, and I love it now too. So, however lip liner you want to do, you want to almost double the size of your lip up here. What I like to do is go in between where my nose is and where my lip is, because if you go up too high, you'll shorten your nose. But look how high up I went, like right in the middle of my face. And I just go straight across and down. When I do my lip as well, I fill in the corners because I'm going to do an ombre lip. So I just like it to be as dark as possible. And then underneath, a good lip, usually the upper lip is smaller than the bottom lip, but I like to try and make them both the same size. But depending on your lip construction, like if you have a pouty lip, like if your bottom lip sticks out, you can't go below it because it'll be under, no one will see it. You have to go quite low because you're dealing with what's visible. So it's best to look at the mirror and see what you can see as being the right size, the right depth. Also, if you have trouble with your lip, you heard me,
You can go back into your foundation or whatever with a concealer brush, a flat brush, and from like we did with our eyebrows, shape your lip.
Ooh.
For my lip color, it doesn't really matter because we're going to do something else to our lips than this. But I'm using Beauty Bay's Scrunchie. It's a nice little hot pink. Yeah, but it doesn't matter what color you use. So now we're going to take a small little pencil brush and we're going to go back into Color Splash. We're going to go into Grape here. And what we're doing with this color is we are just going to, on the very outside corners of our mouth, darken our lipstick.
Whereabouts?
I'm showing you right now. Just on the corners of the mouth. We're not going to go all the way up to the top, but we're doing just the outer corners. And we're going to come along the lip body, but low. We don't want this to go up too high. What we're trying to do is create an ombre lip. Nice. Ooh, dramatique. And then with the same brush, just wipe it off a little. We are going to go into Candy, which is the pink, right here. And we're going to put that in the middle of the lip. So now that we've done that, I'm going to take that pink highlighter that I used. You can use any highlighter. You can use any shimmer eyeshadow. And just here in the middle, just to create a highlight. And I like to use a powder for a highlighter as opposed to lip gloss because when you've got a big wig on, it sticks to your lip gloss. So I just like to minimize that. Look at you, gosh. I don't think I'd recognize you right now.
I don't recognize me right now. It's not a bad thing.
So now the last thing we're going to do, well, before we do that, we're now going to spray our face the last time because you don't want to spray them with eyelashes on because it'll actually affect the glue and stuff. So just one last. And now it's time for eyelashes. Now I make my own eyelashes because I need big eyes. These are my eyelashes. And this is about 4 pair glued together.
Wow.
So now because drag lashes are usually constructed, they're like 3 or 4 pair, they're heavier than a regular eyelash. So eyelash glue doesn't always work for drag lashes. So I use Weave Bond, which is a latex adhesive you use to glue hair tracks to a head.
Okay.
Now, they say this is not good around your eyes, and I've got it into my eye, and it does sting a little, but as a glue, it's fine. But they can't recommend it in case you damage yourself. So I'm not recommending you use this, but I'm using it. So I like to just put a little dab of that on my hand, and then I run the spine of the lash through it. Now here's the trick to putting on drag queen lashes. Instead of putting the lash along your eyelid, no. What you want to do is put it along your eyelid in the corner here, but you want it to run along your eyeliner line up here. Some drag queens don't even put their eyelashes on their eyelid. They put it into the crease because they're so big, they can't have it on their lid. So when I do mine, so I start just not right in the corner of my eye, just off of it. And then I just like to hold that, and then I go right along. I'm going up my eye.
So up the top
Yeah,
of
I
the
want my
liner.
eyelash to go up. If I put it along my eyeline, it'll flow down. And you're using a swoopy long lash. If you went along your eyeline, your eyelash would go down your face. You want it to go up. We've created all of this.
Am I following the top of the black
No,
liner?
the underline. Well, anywhere under it, not the top, but I'm going just under.
Like in the middle of it?
Yeah.
Cool.
trying to match the angle of the eyeliner I drew. And because it's latex, it's malleable, so I can kind of shape it. But do you see? You can't see here, but the eyelash isn't actually at my eye; it's above it,
Yes.
and that's what I want because it's too big. You can't see that it's not where it should be. And then again with the other side. The last thing for our eyes is mascara.
The lashes won't stay on if I touch them too much.
Okay, then don't worry about this part. Okay. So
They
yeah,
hate me.
Now, no. I hate this. I hate that. So now all we have to do is put our hair and jewelry on. So let's get to it. And there's the finished look. I got my blonde victory rolls on. You look gorgeous. I love your blue wig. That's stunning. How do you feel?
I feel absolutely fabulous.
You look gorgeous. Yeah. Now, your wig is a little flat. You usually would tease that up a bit, but it's for what we've done, it's gorgeous. I love how you look. Your face shape has changed. You look gorgeous. Thank you so much for doing this with me. I love that we had this time together.
Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you, Wilma.
My pleasure. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, leave a comment down below. And while you're down there, if you'd like to support the Fingerdoo review even more, there's the YouTube thanks button. There's also my OG Tipperdoo link through PayPal. And if you'd like to get some Wilma merch, my Redbubble store link is there, as well as a link to joining the Fingerdoo family on Patreon, where we have 2 live chats a month. Until next time, thank you, Stephanie, and it's me. Bye.